You know, for as long as we've had music, musicians have faced one timeless problem. They need to eat. The history of music isn't just a story of notes and rhythms, it's a story of economics. And honestly, understanding who pays for the music is the key to understanding the music itself. So, let's just start with a really direct question. How does the music you listen to every single day actually get paid for? The answer has changed so dramatically over time, and it literally shapes the sound of our world. We're about to take a little trip, all the way from the 18th century court of an aristocrat to the 21st century boardroom of a global corporation. We're going to explore how a musician's paycheck evolved from a single powerful person to a faceless brand, and what that really means for the artist. And that gets us to the heart of it right here, the musician's dilemma. Because while the people cutting the checks might look totally different, we're about to see that the fundamental tension between artistic freedom and just, financial survival has stayed remarkably the same. Okay, first, let's jump in our time machine and go back to the 18th century. Picture the fancy courts of Baroque and classical Europe. This was the era of patronage, a system that pretty much defined the lives and careers of nearly every great composer of the time. So what was patronage exactly? Well, it was a system where a wealthy patron, think a prince, an archbishop, some noble family, would sponsor an artist. They'd provide a salary, a place to live, all the resources they needed, and in return, the artist created whatever was asked of them whenever it was asked. But let's be real, this relationship was basically feudal. A musician, no matter how brilliant they were, was a highly skilled servant. I mean, they often had to wear a livery, the uniform of the household staff, and their job was to make music that served the very specific tastes and needs of their master. And this right here, this is the fundamental trade-off. The benefits, they were incredible. We're talking complete financial stability, access to resources like your very own orchestra. But the drawbacks were huge. You had almost no creative autonomy. So you could write these amazing, complex symphonies, but they had to be symphonies your patron would enjoy listening to over dinner. This brings us to the perfect case study, Joseph Haydn. His whole experience is often summed up with this idea. Being totally cut off from the outside world actually forced him to innovate. He became this living example of how this gilded cage could be both a prison and a really powerful creative lab. So for 30 years, 3 decades, Haydn served the super wealthy Esterházy family. This gave him security like you wouldn't believe and an entire orchestra to just experiment with every single day. It's how he became one of the most original and productive composers of his time. But he was also contractually bound and totally isolated. And then you have Mozart. In what was a huge act of rebellion back then, he broke away from his patron, the Archbishop of Salzburg, to try his luck as one of history's first real freelance musicians. It was a massive, massive gamble, trading all that security of the gilded cage for the hope of creative freedom. Mozart's gamble was really a sign of things to come. So let's jump forward 250 years. The aristocratic courts are gone, but the need for funding sure isn't. It's just found a new home, the global digital marketplace. Welcome to the world of 21st century brand sponsorship. Today's model is sponsorship. And this isn't some feudal relationship. It's a straight-up transactional business partnership. A corporation pays an artist not just for their music, but to tap into their brand, their audience, and their cultural cool factor. And look at this. We see a whole new set of trade-offs. The benefits are massive. Sponsorship deals can be incredibly lucrative, and partnering with a global brand gives you a reach Haydn couldn't have even dreamed of. But the drawbacks are just as real. The constant pressure to keep up a certain image, that stigma of selling out, and the very real danger of compromising your art for a paycheck. So what does the brand get out of this deal? The key thing to understand is that they want to borrow the artist's cool. They're buying access to authenticity and credibility to connect their product, whether it's a soda, a pair of sneakers, or a smartphone, to a specific audience. It's not about the music as art. It's about the artist as an influencer. So what does creative compromise look like today? Well, instead of writing a symphony for a prince's dinner party, an artist might have to feature a product in their video or write brand-safe lyrics. And why? Because the goal is mass appeal. The music often has to be simpler, catchier, and optimized for algorithms, so it can trend on TikTok or land on a huge playlist. It's a big shift from pleasing one person to pleasing a global data-driven marketing department. So when we put these two eras side by side, a really fascinating pattern starts to show up. The patron might have changed, but that fundamental bargain for the artist, it's still the same. This slide just illustrates the connection perfectly. The 18th century composer bowed to a prince for a roof over their head. Today's artist partners with a brand for visibility in this super crowded digital world. The currency has basically changed from food and lodging to clicks and views. And this table, it just crystallizes the whole thing. The patron has shifted from a prince to a corporation. The relationship has gone from feudal to transactional, and the compromise has evolved from serving a master's personal taste to aligning with a brand's public image. The details are different, sure, but it's the same fundamental exchange. Which leaves us with one final and, I think, crucial question. When you listen to a symphony that was written for a prince, or a pop song that you first heard in a car commercial, does knowing who paid the bills change how you hear the music? And maybe more importantly, does it change the art itself?